Have you ever wondered what it might sound like if Thomas Jefferson made a beat? How about Queen Elizabeth II, King Henry VIII, the Ringling Brothers? These are all questions that are answerable because these beats exist. They're made by a producer named Conics, they get tens to hundreds of thousands of streams, and quite frankly, they're heat. Today I want to dive into what makes a Conics beat and sit down with the man behind it all to find out the most important question I have, which is, why? I think we should start with a brief history of Conics' work. He's been producing for over 10 years.
When I was a kid, I took violin lessons, like really little. Like I never got really good at it, but like I was always listening to like classical music when I was a kid. And then when I was like 15, I found Fruity Loops and I just made tons of music of different genres over the years. So like I started making like pop music or like electro pop and like grindcore. Early in college is when I started trying to make rap beats. Lil B was pretty influential for me. I loved that he was just rapping over anything. He was, using video game soundtracks, and it kind of shows you that you don't have to stay in a little box. I also did rap myself for a little bit, but after a few years, I said, this is not for me.
You were on the mic, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Within the last 3 years is when I just started just messing around with non-traditional melodies that people would hear and they're like, okay, I'm not going to use this. And just sending them out just to see what the reaction was like. And I still get that kind of reaction. So I'm still, trying to find someone that wants to take a risk.
One day he decided to pursue his interest in classical music and made his first colonial beat, Thomas Jefferson type beat. However, this would prove to be a different version of what would ultimately put Conics on the map. Hear ye, parentheses, Thomas Jefferson type beat, amassing over 600,000 views on YouTube and over 200,000 streams on Spotify since its release.
When the song first started getting some traction on Twitter, I don't know, it's so cool. I never thought people beyond my friend base would be listening to it.
Did the YouTube video blow up in a YouTube way? YouTube just took it and ran with it, or all this traffic came from Twitter and external stuff to you?
The traffic came from Twitter initially. There was one tweet, and I think it might be deleted at this point. It was a video of someone filming their email that I had sent them, and they said, this guy sent me a beat called Thomas Jefferson type beat. Okay, it started just getting a ton of retweets and just blowing up on Twitter, and then I found it somehow, and I dropped my links in there, and then people were searching on YouTube for Thomas Jefferson type beat. And so I was like, oh shit, I gotta upload the video really fast. So 2 days after the tweet started getting bigger, I uploaded to YouTube, and then that fed the YouTube algorithm that a lot of people are looking for this. The phrase that was the real meme was just Thomas Jefferson type beat. The song was almost secondary, because that had good SEO. Nothing have ever been uploaded like that before.
It was then that Conics realized his new golden formula, an actual title for the beat followed by a parentheses with the type of beat it was, ultimately fully capitalizing on the type beat meme. Now you might be wondering, is there a formula for the beat itself?
It starts with one bar, really, a melody that I come up with when I'm just walking around and I have my voice notes app and I'm, sing something catchy into there. And then I go home and then I open up Fruity Loops and I just lay that line down. And really, I just cycle through all the different patches that I have and I find something that sounds nice. So I come up with a 20 or 30 second main melody in the beginning. And I try to develop that as much as possible. I add drums to it. And then there's a lot of just unlistenable bad stuff that I have that stopped at that point. And then I try to filter it for okay, in a week, I still like listening to this. And then after that, I'll spend some more time fleshing out the rest of the song. And that's usually much harder to come up with the middle portions, because if someone's rapping over it, doesn't have to have too many elements. It only really needs 20 seconds of unique content for most songs. But I'm releasing these as standalone tracks and I don't want them to be too boring. So I try to have at least a minute and a half of unique melodies before I repeat.
Since you don't know if anyone's actually going to be on it yet, you're really thinking more about the composition element, having a solid A and B section so that it keeps people engaged, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so you can actually listen to it in your car and maybe even make it halfway through the beat. I think most people, if you're just listening to a YouTube beat, you get bored after 10 seconds.
So a Conics beat always begins with this intro that kind of outlines what the melody will say later on, along with an iconic producer tag. You only have to wait a few seconds before you hear the voice of a surprised British woman asking,
"Wait, Is this Conics?
Wait, is this Conics?
So I listened to a lot of Rick Ross. I like the early Maybach music stuff, and I love the Maybach music tag. So I just wanted something similar to that, like a British accent. So I just went on Fiverr and I found someone who does British voiceovers, and her name is Melissa Hollick. Shout out to Melissa Hollick. She did my tag for me. I have like a folder of like 20 more of the same thing. Wait, is this Conics? But said in different intonations. And I just like, putting it at strategic drop moments.
And there's always a little sound or detail right before the drop to make sure you get hyped up. For instance, in Step Right Up, Ringling Brothers type beat, it's a slide whistle.
Is this Conics?
In Hear Ye, Thomas Jefferson type beat, it's a colonial snare roll.
Wait, is this Conics?
In Her Majesty's Fanfare, Queen Elizabeth II type beat, it's a descending church organ arpeggio.
Wait, is this Conics?
And then once you're in the beat itself, I will say the most brilliant thing about Conics as a producer is his ear for melody. In fact, I'd say melody is his main focus, given that he has pretty much all the Spitfire Symphony bundles. Are the drums a little stock sounding by comparison? Maybe. But all that doesn't matter when you realize the genius behind Conics is in the melody and title crafting. Do you have like the Spitfire Symphony? Do you have like that $1,400 bundle?
I have all the bundles.
But I wanted to also know your drum kit. Are you using stock FL drums?
I've accumulated a drum library throughout the years. Like when there's like a new producer that I like listening to, I started with the Lex Luger kits and then the Young Chopped, and then I went on Splice and I downloaded a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I just have this big mishmash of sounds that I've been carrying around with me. But no, I don't use any of the stock FL sounds.
All your melody lines, like all the VSTs for those, like the classical instruments you have, sound great. But your drum selection, I feel like, it's very straightforward. It's very dry. It's very it just punches and that's it. Like it's very clean cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also there's this Edirol Orchestra, which is this very old, cheesy synth library that also has some really fun, orchestral percussion in them, like wood blocks, and those are really fun to stick in there. In terms of my drums, that is an area that I'm always trying to get better in it. I listen to some other producers and they just blow me away with their hi-hat patterns and their mixing and stuff like that. So I do kind of have I would say a style that the melodies are, I think, what I focus on more. And so I'm always looking also for other producers to collaborate with that do focus more on drums.
This is a meme that has just enough effort to the point where you're like, wait, is this good? And suddenly you're in the kitchen making something and you're humming the melody to Hear Ye, Hear Ye. Conics is a brilliant producer, and in all seriousness, his beats never fail to make me smile on a day where I'm not really feeling it. Yeah, and I guess the only last thing that I really wanted to say, my friends and I do put on your beats when we're just having a rough time or whatever. We're we gotta throw on a Conics beat just to laugh at something for a day. So I don't know if that makes you feel a certain way, but it's
No, I'm honored. That's so fun because I honestly listen to my own music a lot and I like it. So it's great to hear other people like it too.
I'm a huge fan.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to throw in here or plug just so that people know?
Yeah, so I just released Classical Beats 3. It's on my Spotify. And I also have a YouTube channel where I have hundreds of dishwashing videos. So it's just videos of me dishwashing. So
with your beats in them or just...
Nope. No music, just dishwashing.
Okay.
So it's a real niche community. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, it's called Alexander Dishes.
Thanks to Conics for sitting down with me. I appreciate him taking the time to really let me into his world. You can find the full interview with Conics right here next week, so make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.